Hey everyone, I'm Nick930, and today I wanted to share with you my final thoughts for the latest Division 2 content, Warlords of New York. Warlords of New York is a massive expansion pack, aimed to build on the success of the Division 2 released last year, with additional story content, fan-requested tweaks, and expanded endgame material. Now, there's a ton of content to go over, so to keep this organized, let's begin by going over what you can expect in terms of story. Warlords of New York takes place in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, where the unhinged Aaron Keener has teamed up with additional rogue agents to control the remains of the city and unleash an even more deadly bioweapon. The player's job is simple: go to New York, defeat all the rogue agents, and stop the new virus from being released. It's a pretty straightforward narrative, and one that will take you roughly 5 to 6 hours to complete. But the more digestible campaign structure offered by having to hunt down each rogue agent in any order results in a far more interesting story experience than the base game. The voice actor performances still feel a bit forced, something that's hard to ever take seriously when playing through a loot-based cooperative game like this. But it's at least consistent, and the additional audio recordings and echo playbacks help to finally provide closure on one of the Division's lingering plot threads. After completing an introductory mission that sort of re-explains how the game's controls and mechanics work, the player is given free roam of the dilapidated city, with a fog of war hiding objectives and landmarks and forcing the player to discover them on their own. Just like in the Division 2, you can run around the city and conquer control points, complete side missions, and unlock safe houses. But the main goal here is to follow clues and identify the location of rogue agents. Each rogue agent has about 3 to 4 objectives connected to them, though some of these are as simple as reaching a waypoint and listening to an audio recording. However, some objectives are full-length missions, with plenty of enemies to shoot at and some cool locations to explore. Mission environments include an expansive underground mall, a massive freighter beached near a bridge, and even the New York Stock Exchange. What makes these missions even more interesting, though, are the boss encounters. Each boss has their own unique skill sets, requiring players to quickly adapt on the fly and adjust their approach to overcome them. Theo Parnell, for example, is a tech expert, and likes to spam things like remote turrets, drones, and holograms to distract players. Dragoff, on the other hand, is more of a tank, requiring players to make use of the area's deployed miniguns to help drain his HP. What's more, after you defeat these agents, you can steal their skills and use them for yourself. There are 4 brand new skills that you can unlock here. First, there's the hologram. This device can be either dropped or thrown after a brief cooldown, and will instantly draw the fire of enemies, even if they watch it get deployed. Though they seem to only be distracted by it for a short time before turning their attention back to you. Still, it's enough of a distraction to help you revive a teammate or get out of a bad situation. Next, there's the sticky bomb launcher. This is a returning skill from the original Division, only it now fires a little bit faster and isn't quite as overpowered as it used to be. Additionally, players can unlock a variant of the sticky bomb launcher that unleashes an incendiary effect rather than the typical explosive effect. And finally, there's the shock traps. Shock traps are more of a defensive tool that can block off routes to your location effectively and give you an opportunity to rack up some decent damage on the more bullet-spongy enemies. Unfortunately, I frequently ran into a bug when using this device where the shock points were all clustered together, failing to cover the intended wide defensive area. Though, even if this bug were fixed, it's difficult to recommend most of these new skills over the pre-existing skills already present in the base game. The sticky bombs and shock traps are okay, but not worth trading out something like the turrets, drones, or stinger hives for. The hologram, however, has become one of my new favorite tools, as it offers a ton of opportunities to escape from a bad position and recover health or save teammates. And then of course, there's a ton of other changes made to the way the game's RPG systems are handled. First off, the game's level cap has been increased from 30 up to 40, meaning all your high-end gear is basically obsolete once you arrive in New York. This will force you to pick up all new weapons and armor pieces, and upon completing the main story campaign, you'll be greeted with a brand new progression system called the SHD or Shade Level. The Shade Level progression system allows players to infinitely improve their character by upgrading things like damage, armor, and skill power. This provides endgame players much more incentive to continue replaying missions and participating in the new seasonal-based content. That's right, just like most games nowadays, Division 2 now has a season-based content schedule, with targeted replay missions and events cropping up every now and again to entice players to keep booting up the game. I'm personally not a big fan of this idea, as it seems like a cheap way to have players keep coming back. But for players already heavily invested in the Division 2, this will likely become a major part of your gameplay sessions. Warlords of New York also introduces some brand new difficulty settings, including the seemingly impossible heroic and legendary difficulty modes. I'm all for having more challenging missions to play, but this does feel excessive. Enemies deal an extraordinary amount of damage, and seem to be more bullet spongy than normal. Directives, on the other hand, seem like a much better design choice. A big part of games like The Division is replaying missions to obtain more and more powerful loot, and with directives, players can fine-tune their mission replays with modifiers, which, when enabled, will provide the player with even more XP and powerful rewards upon completion. On top of that, this expansion also sees new global difficulty settings and global directives to scale enemies roaming the open world areas, in line with the way enemies are scaled during missions already. Players can even be attacked by random rogue agents now during free roam, missions, or world events. Though throughout the 12 or so hours I've played of this DLC, I haven't actually run into a single group of rogue agents myself, so perhaps the occurrences are a bit too rare. Outside of the new expansion content, there's also some major changes that have been made with Title Update 8, including a major overhaul to the gear system, nicknamed Gear 2.0. With Gear 2.0, Ubisoft set out to make the gear system easier to understand, making it much easier to identify worthwhile items. Under the new system, all pieces of armor and weapons will come with core attributes that are specific to that item slot, and attributes that can randomly appear from a predetermined set of modifiers. This makes gear much easier to specialize around your playstyle. Additionally, the skill power system has been reworked into a new skill tier system, making it even easier to manage player builds. Along with the changes to gear, major changes have also been made to the recalibration station. The recalibration station now allows players to extract desired attributes from unwanted weapons or gear, and apply it to something they do want, giving players more freedom to expand and customize their preferred playstyle. And finally, some major changes were made to the game's PvP areas called Dark Zones. To encourage players to be more aggressive and bring the Dark Zone closer to what it was like in The Division 1, Dark Zone XP is no longer given for killing NPCs. You can now only gain Dark Zone XP for extracting loot, securing supply drops, or killing other players. Unlike the pre-update loot, all loot dropped in the Dark Zone will now be considered contaminated, and must be extracted via the extraction points. Additionally, to help prevent overpowered weapons from being used, signature weapon ammo will no longer drop from AI in the Dark Zone, forcing all players to use their standard weapons. Sadly, there's no new Dark Zone areas to explore with either the update or the New York expansion, but the changes made should help to make the experience more interesting than before. Overall, the Warlords of New York expansion and its accompanying Title Update 8 are a breath of fresh air for The Division 2. There's still a few bugs, like some performance-related issues in the Dark Zone and the shock traps not deploying properly, but the huge new area to explore, along with a complete overhaul of the progression system and PvP content, makes it worth returning to. And the seasonal-based content will no doubt hold fans over as they wait patiently for the second raid to drop later this year. But what do you guys think? Are you enjoying the Warlords of New York expansion? Or were you hoping for something more? Let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos posted every week.